Hello and welcome to Nothing to Wear, the podcast that solves fashion problems and levels up your wardrobe. Today I'm chatting to Kim Crowley and we are talking perimenopause and menopause. No, this is not mid, it's nothing to wear, but our bodies change. All women will go through menopause and hormones do weird things to us. So let's talk about our body shape, how that differs from our body type, and how the hell we dress for this period in our lives.
You have to do it. You live for fashion.
So Kim, first you came and blew our mind with colour. Now we're going to talk about body shapes, particularly how they relate to dressing for perimenopause and menopause.
Mm-hmm.
I am at the opening cave of tunnel of peri and I'm feeling all kinds of ways. So you want to talk about how our bodies change, how to understand our body shape, how to dress for that, what flattering even means when we say flattering, because things have changed a lot and language is changing in the industry, which is good.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Talk to me about shapes, silhouettes. Tell me everything you know.
We might be here a while. But I do premise this chat by saying that I have these conversations with menopausal women, but obviously, you know, I have them all the time with them, but it's all the dressing strategies and concepts are relevant for any woman who's struggling to flatter her body, to work out what she feels good in.
What she feels good in.
Exactly.
Because Mia talks a lot about when she started to go through menopause, she said her body's trying to become a circle.
Yes.
Is that common?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. That blob, that circle, that roundening, that's what we're going to get to. So we're going to hover over that body shape quite a lot.
Okay. Gosh, we've got a lot to look forward to, don't we? All right. So can you begin by describing the terms or the different body shapes for women? Because back when I worked in magazines, gosh, there was apples and pears, and you're probably bringing the perspective of creating clothes for women.
Exactly. And for different shapes of women. And that's why being able to give some guidelines around body type is brilliant, because then it helps with the kind of guidelines to what will suit one shape versus another. Because obviously we're all different.
Yes.
So generally there's 5 different female body types, which are often compared to fruit or geometric shapes and all the beautiful things that we're compared to as women.
Yes.
However, I have a 6th, which we'll talk about as well as we kind of go through. But the way I measure body type is much more by eye, rather than with the tape measure, because that all gets very scientific.
It does. And also you sometimes just don't feel great getting out the measuring tape.
Yeah,
it's a bit retro.
Yeah, I don't put a measuring tape near anybody's body. But basically, the way I measure is to compare our bodies horizontally, okay, on the horizontal and then on the vertical.
Like as if I was lying down? Or you mean from like
looking,
hip to hip?
Yes, looking at you from side to side. Basically.
Okay.
So horizontally, that's about our 2 widest parts we might have as women. So number 1 is shoulder and or bust.
Yep.
So this upper region, as I call it. And then number 2 is hip and or thigh lower region, as I call it. And that's how I'll refer to it: upper region, body lower region.
Okay.
And our body type is how balanced or unbalanced those 2 areas are. That's a lot of what basically when we're judging it and we're trying to define it, that's what we're kind of looking at basically.
So women can kind of work this out by looking in the mirror
and figuring
in
it
your
out.
knickers, in your swimmers or something, figuring out no tape measure.
Ideally in your undies rather than your swimmers. Yeah.
Okay.
Ideally, because they're flatter generally, so you can get a bit more of a kind of understanding.
Okay.
And often we get confused because a lot of female body types are a combination of 2. And that's when it gets complicated. So
and or has changed. So you used to be this one and now your body's this one. And that's why the clothes you used to love don't feel the same.
Absolutely. And this is why it's hard, because we might have nailed what we used to be and be like, oh yeah, I've got this look, and then fashion changes or our body changes or our likes and dislikes changes.
All of the
all
above.
Of them. Exactly. All at the same time. It feels like over the same week, and then you're coming out the other end going,
oh, got nothing to wear.
Exactly.
That's what you're here for.
Exactly.
Okay, so we're going to learn how to work out our proportions and then work out what makes us feel great. Can you kick things off with the first body type? So a rectangle/athletic.
Yes.
What is this?
So this is when you're pretty balanced from your top region to your bottom region, and with very little curve through your body. So you resemble more of a rectangle, basically, from shoulder to hip. Generally, you're pretty lean. You don't tend to put on weight very easily, otherwise known as an ectomorph. And this is actually one of the most common body types.
Okay. Interesting. Triangle. Rectangle, sorry.
Rectangle.
I'm not very good with my shapes. What's number 2? Am I getting ahead of myself?
Inverted triangle. That is exactly the next one.
Inverted.
So inverted triangle. So the point is at the bottom. So an upside down capital A.
Ah, I like it.
Yeah. So this is when you're broadest at your top region, then you taper towards your hip and thigh, otherwise known as a mesomorph if you want to get scientific, but we don't have to. You can have a tendency to feel top heavy because your shoulder and or bust is your widest part, but generally your legs are your best feature. So that's often what we want to kind of show off.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a upside down triangle.
Exactly.
Number 3.
A pair.
Okay.
Yes. So a pair.
Surely a lot of women are pairs.
Quite a lot of women
we've got
are.
all that, reproductive stuff happening.
Yes, but the thing is, we're not often as big or as heavy down there as often we might think. So sometimes we feel heavy down there, but actually when we look at ourselves, you're not a pair, because when you look in front of the mirror, your shoulder and your hip or thigh actually balance out beautifully.
Oh.
Do you see what I mean?
Yes, but no, I want to take all my clothes off and look in the mirror, but I won't right now. But
Didn't know that kind
but
of
this
disgust.
is interesting.
But do you see what I mean? So sometimes we feel heavier in places, but when we actually look and we step back and kind of take the focus off and actually look at ourselves and judge ourselves from the 2 widest parts, often they can be a lot more balanced than we think.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Okay.
So a pair is more, she's basically the complete opposite to number 2, opposite to the inverted triangle. She is more of an A, capital A shape. She is heavier around the thigh and the bottom, and then tapers towards the shoulder.
Okay.
So basically, lots of my pear shapes have very slim waists in comparison to their widest part. So they're often emphasizing that waist, and then they have a beautiful curve out and over the hip. So you see them and they just, look very feminine and quite gorgeous. We're looking at a horizontal, but we're also looking at a vertical. And often, so what I mean by that, when I'm talking vertical, is your torso length versus your leg length.
Okay.
And generally,
so we're kind of cutting our body in half and assessing the top and then the bottom.
Exactly. So it's about 4 head lengths on the top and then 4 on the bottom, okay? And so basically what generally happens as a pair, if you're putting most of your weight on your bottom of body, generally that's where you're the shortest. So often my pairs will have longer torsos.
Oh.
And then because they have shorter legs, that's where they'll put on their weight.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, and that's often the case. Obviously, I'm generalising a bit.
Yeah,
but
of
that's
course.
often
Everyone's different, yeah.
But that's often the case because if we've got a longer torso, we're spreading our weight over a longer space.
Okay.
And our bottom of body is our shortest, and that's where we put on weight and we feel heavier in those areas. Does that make sense?
Yes. Okay, so what's number 4? Is that where we're up to yet?
Yes. So number 4 is an hourglass. Okay. Because when we're talking about hourglass is when we're basically 2 triangles. So imagine an
I've got that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
More like an hourglass that comes in at the waist. So basically her top region is a similar dress size to the bottom region.
Okay.
But curving in considerably at the waist.
Okay.
So if we use like the old school measurement of defining an hourglass, you have to be something like, I think it's 9 inches or something different between.
So there was
bust and waist.
like specific measurements.
Oh, yes.
Wow, that's very prescriptive.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And because, back along, it might have been that obviously, we were particular shapes, but nowadays, diet's changed, the way we live has changed a lot. So that's why, we're often a combination of 2.
Yeah, and
it's
no
not
2
so
people
easy.
are the same. We're celebrating individuality instead of fully putting everyone in these buckets. But this is a general guide.
Absolutely. And we kind of need guides in a way to be able to put guidelines because, a lot of my pairs might not feel very happy or so comfortable in a pencil skirt.
Yes.
But they would feel more happy in an A-line skirt that works with their beautiful body shape.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yes, totally. So it helps kind of cut out a lot of the clutter to start with and you start looking for particular shapes that you think you're going to feel good in.
Absolutely. Because it's all about flipping the script. It's about emphasising and enjoying our best bits rather than going, oh, my worst bit is this and I'm... Do you know what I mean? That's
we're not about
what we
that.
want. No. We're flipping it and thinking, actually, I love my long legs, for example, with an inverted triangle, for example. And so they'll enjoy that and they'll wear and buy garments that emphasise that.
Yeah, and it just helps to go shopping or once you know this information, reassess what's in your wardrobe and then you're like, oh, well, that's why I'm drawn to those pieces and not those pieces.
Exactly, because it's actually putting a bit of science around it and why those geometric shapes, although I hate, using a lot of those, the fruit and the shapes, it kind of does give us a visual and then you can kind of understand once you put the science behind it and it all makes sense. You're like, that's
why I go for that neckline or that's why I've avoided that.
Exactly. So a lot of my inverted triangles that feel broader across their shoulder, I think is an amazing thing because, your look is stronger and all the rest of it. But they might not want to look even wider, so they avoid puffs in their sleeves. They avoid heavy shoulder pads.
But perhaps they haven't really even known why they're drawn to certain styles or not. Okay.
Yes.
Because it's important, I guess, also to point out that these shapes can be any size.
Absolutely,
Can
it's
be
not about
size
size.
6, can be size 26. It's not about size.
It's not about size at all. I like a lot of my, you know what I do here, Leigh, and really upsets me is a lot of women come to me and they're like, oh, I'm sorry, but I'm a kind of size 20. I'm like, why are you apologising to me? I don't care what size you are, Don. I just care that you know how to wear the clothes that are meant for you, because certain clothes aren't meant for you.
Yeah.
It's the same with
And
colour.
you just know how to find stuff that makes you feel great.
Absolutely. I want to introduce you to brands, I want to introduce you to styles, I want to introduce you to fabrics,
Yes.
cuts, and also little, the little kind of design details that mean that you're going to love and wear this garment.
And look forward to getting dressed.
Weekly, exactly.
Yeah, so it's not about size.
It's
I
not
like
about
that.
size at all.
Because flattering, we hear this is very flattering on this person or that person. Flattering is an interesting word, and it's been, evaluated, because I could wear a giant puffy balloon shape that's not quote unquote flattering, but if it makes me feel fabulous, I feel confident, I go about my day or my event or whatever. And that's good. So what are your thoughts on the word flattering while we're here?
I think that's a really, really interesting word. So the way I kind of define the two kind of looks that generally I deal with and I encourage women to dress into is either flattering, so flattering your body shape. So once you understand your best bits, let's emphasize them. Let's go for it. Right? And let's make a real thing of showing them off. Or we do fashion. Often fashion can be more oversized. It can be baggier clothes. It can be, for example, oversized blazers, right?
Right.
Go for fashion or go for flattering.
So you'll find out what that particular client's trying to achieve.
Yes, exactly. And we'll put them on this kind of makeshift kind of barometer, right? Fashion, flattering at one end, fashion at the other.
Ah.
But when we start playing with clothes and we're creating looks that aren't flattering us, our shape, they don't show off our beautiful button, waist and whatever, and they're not fashion either, they're mediocre. They're the ones that slip down the middle and they're boring. And so it's really easy, because if you
or you're trying to strike both and you're striking nothing, or you don't really know.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
You're not, you're trying to strike both. Because sometimes there's things that are flattering and fashion, like a white sneaker, right? How long has that been in fashion?
Yeah, comfortable,
12 years
you're going
ago.
to use them, and they're quote unquote cool.
Yeah, and they work for everybody. We wear them daily, they're comfortable, they tick so many boxes. So that's something that's flattering and fashionable, okay?
Yes.
But often things are one or the other.
Totally.
And when we're throwing on that old grey oversized top that, because we're not really sure what to wear, we've often put on a bit of weight. That's the time when we're like, oh, feel a bit naff in this, feel a bit mediocre. We look at ourselves in the mirror, and I mentioned this on, our shopping podcast, the size spiral, where we look in the mirror and we're like, oh, feel a bit naff in this. I think I'm putting on weight, and we wear the garment that makes us look like we've put on weight. So we look at ourselves in the mirror and we're like, oh, I don't feel great. I'm going to
just
keep
makes
this
us feel
on.
small.
It's just
we shrink back.
Exactly. We cower. We don't smile. We don't stand up. We're not, and all that internal narrative is different because we're looking at ourselves and it's validating the fact that we might have put on weight, and we might have. And that's fine.
Totally.
But we want to dress. We still want to be able to dress to enjoy our body rather than cover it in a big blanket or sheet that often we do.
Yeah.
Soon as we put on a bit of weight, and that's what's really interesting about like the menopause side of things.
Yes. Because traditionally women do put on weight, and particularly around the middle.
But putting on something that is so big and swamps us is the worst thing you can do for your confidence.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the trouble.
This is where I think a lot of women just don't know what to do at this life stage.
Absolutely.
Okay, so back to Hourglass. I mean, I'm thinking Marilyn Monroe. I'm thinking the Kardashians.
Exactly,
Whether or
all
not
of that.
that's achieved naturally or not. How many of us are actual hourglasses?
A very small amount.
Oh!
So
I'm
only about
surprised by that.
9%. If you get all scientific, it's about 9%. I mean, it's ridiculously small. But as I say, I just look at a woman. If she's balanced from her top region to her bottom, and she curves in significantly at the waist, she can be a size 6, she can be a size 26. Don't care. But she's
an
not
hourglass.
hourglass. Exactly.
But if there's not that curve in the middle, she's a rectangle.
Exactly. Well, what's really interesting, right? When I first started spending obviously more time in fitting rooms with women, I was putting different shapes on different women. Different women have obviously all different, you can be tall, you can be petite, because that's the other part of this
Tall and
conversation,
petite,
which complicates our body shape and our body type. But what I was putting on a lot of the time was actually hourglass shape. So basically a pyramid on the bottom and then an upside down pyramid on the top, okay? In terms of, say, a dress. So you've got a dress maybe with a bit of a puff sleeve. You've got a beautiful bit of fit under the bust.
Yeah.
And then it comes out again, an A shape at the hem. And a lot of my clients, and quite a lot of them, don't feel that comfortable with their body, and they're really trying to seek out what would work better. Some are more confident, absolutely, there's a range. But often I'd put an hourglass dress shape on a client and they would look up and look in the mirror and like look themselves up
You
and down.
see
And be
the
like,
mental transformation.
Exactly. Oh, I like what I look like in this. What have you done? And I'm like, I've just put an hourglass shaped dress on you. So let me talk you through the science. And I kind of talk them through and they're, oh yeah, what other colours is coming? I might take two. I love it. What shoes can I wear? Oh, how can I accessorize? Oh, this is great. What's the jacket? Oh, blah, blah.
Yes.
And suddenly they're like, something fits me. Something makes me feel fantastic. And it's that old school hourglass shape. And I was really shocked to think when, because I thought we kind of moved on from this, but it feels like we haven't with a lot of the women I see. That is still such a beautiful, powerful shape. It is feminine and
It's interesting because fashion's so oversized and like kind of androgynous at the moment, you know, parts of the fashion world that yes, we forget that sometimes going back to something that's quote unquote flattering, and by that we mean you feel fabulous
in it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's, timeless in a way.
Absolutely. Because it's always going to fit your body and that's always going to make you feel good. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And so it's interesting with the oversized thing, a lot of my clients are like, right, I'm experimenting with oversized blazers. They look really cool. But then they took a photo of themselves like, oh my God, I look like a tent.
Yeah.
I'm like, but your body's not a tent. It's the garment that's the tent.
Yes.
Stop.
Yeah.
Like
either lean into the fashion or go back to flattering.
Yes. Exactly. But because they see a tent-like thing on themselves, they think they've got that big to look more like a tent. It's like, no, you've got a gorgeous body under there. Doesn't matter what size it is, but it's still gorgeous.
Yeah.
But the tent you're putting on, you can take that off. You can choose. Do you see what I mean?
Totally. Okay, let's talk about the fifth body type, an apple or a circle, because I feel like as we head into menopause, this is what a lot of women feel like their body's morphing into.
Absolutely. And that's why I put it at the end, because a lot of us feel like there is a real roundening of the body. And it's so interesting because a lot of my clients, regardless of their body type, so body type is what our genetics are. Body shape is often the shape that we think we are depending on the clothes we're wearing.
Interesting.
That's the way I define them. Body type is one thing, body shape is another.
Okay.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Because you are the shape you put on.
Or we're looking at our body critically and trying to hide parts.
Oh, massively.
You look in the mirror in your undies, which sounds daunting, and you go, I want to hide that, instead of actually I really like my shoulders, I really like my ankles, or I've got a really great rack.
Exactly. That's exactly what it's about.
Okay. So the apple.
Yes. When we're going a bit more rounded, so basically, that's often our bust and our tummy, which regardless of what body type we are, often we are going to put on a bit of weight through our middle as we age. It's hormones and all those things.
Yeah. It's going to happen to all of us.
Yes. But it's how we feel about becoming a bit rounder. And what's really interesting, a lot of my clients say, Kim, help me, I've lost my waist. Okay. But you haven't lost your waist. If you're becoming more apple, your waist has just moved up. So under your bust, it's empire line. That kind of bit under our bust.
Yeah.
Right? So when a lot of women go, I've lost my femininity, I've lost my waist, it's like, no, you haven't done it. It's just moved upwards.
Okay.
And that's a really nice way to think about it, because that is kind of prime real estate under our bust. But we often overlook it because we're too busy hating on our waist.
So what kind of shapes then?
So more an empire line hourglass. So basically that hourglass shape of a triangle and a triangle, but with more of a band or some definition under the bust.
Right under the bust. I mean, even if you're not that, I don't want anything really tight across my lower tummy because I like to breathe and eat and not feel restricted.
Yep. Well, a lot of the time now, Leigh, it's great. There's so many dresses and even top styles that have got elastic at the back. Yeah. That will allow you to eat, drink and be merry. Because if you can't be merry in your clothes, then don't wear them.
It doesn't matter what size or shape you are if you're not comfortable.
No, exactly. Okay. So that's why looking out for these design details, such as a bit of elastic across the back or stretchy fabrics, just allows you, through the month to always fit in your clothes, which I think is a really important part.
Especially when things are fluctuating and going crazy.
Exactly.
So tell me more about Empire Line, because I'm finding this interesting and I'm also having some weird flashbacks to some not unflattering, but just dowdy things I used to wear.
Got you.
That's sort of formed what I think of Empire. So give me more.
Yeah, so often they can look really good. Like Mr. Zimmy does lots of Empire dresses. Spell does them.
Okay.
And
because I like my arms. I mean, I like all of me. I shouldn't say that, but you're right. I think also just for comfort, from the waist down a bit fally.
Yes.
Sorry, from under the bust, the ribs.
Yes.
Ribs for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that's comfortable.
So it's that type of thing. So look, you can put a belt there if you want, but having that shape in that garment already is really nice, because then you can just literally chuck it on. You don't have to accessorize or overthink it, basically. But
how do you do that with a top and pants or separates? Can you?
You can, but it's a bit harder. It's a little bit easier with a dress, but you still can. It's just getting tops with some shaping, and that's the whole point, right? It's getting, rather than wearing boxy square tops or tops that are more trapeze, that are meant more for true apples, okay, that are rounder, because a true apple is defined that basically her tummy is her widest part, bigger than her bust.
Okay.
But the reason I come up with a sixth body type,
which
is because a slim apple.
A slim apple, okay.
Because
a bitten apple.
I'm going to call it that.
I'm trying to think of a fruit. I don't know.
She's basically, it was more about the need of client feedback rather than, like fashion dictates a few different body types. But I found that a slim apple, so she sits between a circle, like an apple, and a rectangle. So she holds her weight through her belly, as a lot of us do, but she's not as lean as a rectangle, but she's not as round as an apple. Does that make sense?
Yes.
There's a little bit of a roundness of the tummy, but it's not round like a circle where we need to wear trapeze shapes. A lot of the problem is we actually turn into slim apples, not true apples, but we wear the clothes that belong to a true apple, which is more trapeze.
Right.
Which is more garments that come out from the bust to cover and skim the tummy, but they have so much fabric that when you're a slim apple, which many more of my clients are than a true apple, it's making us look bigger.
With a lot of these body shapes, that bras and bust makes a big
massive
difference, right? Like I can wear a bra that makes me look like I've got bazookas, and then I can wear a bra that makes me look like I've got nothing.
Yep. Absolutely, they're powerful.
So talk to me about bras and bra straps and all that kind of stuff, because also your boobs change in perimenopause.
Absolutely. And actually my client I just had this morning was exactly, we were talking through this, because, a lot of the bra straps that we buy are a bit more satin because they're a bit, they're
trying to be sexy and you
can
see them,
but they slip, right? The clips will slip.
Oh,
so we really need to tighten them every so often, because obviously they're going through quite a lot every day.
Yeah, and the wash
and support. Exactly. So being able to then lift them that bit, because then that lifts our bust point. So your bust point is the widest part of your bust.
Okay.
And if we can lift it a little bit.
Where your nipples are?
Yep.
But what if it's facing south like mine?
Not necessarily.
Not anymore at that age.
Your nipples aren't always nowadays the widest part of our bust.
They've started to close their eyes.
But it's... But it's lifting that bust, that bit, through adjusting your bra straps to shorten them so that the whole bust lifts a little bit, and that's where your prime real estate is. I've noticed that makes a massive difference
too sometimes when I'm just like, oh, that's annoying. I do the little tighten and I'm like, oh, that's where it's meant to sit. And it's more comfortable too.
Exactly. And especially when we've got a fuller bust, you have to do that a little bit more regularly. But my God, it changes so much of how often we feel about ourselves, because we feel perkier.
Yes.
But we also have released that prime real estate under our bust that's often our waist, that high waist area that's no longer the slimmest part, that used to be around, the belly button in the slimmest part, but is now our slimmest part gone to the underbust.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so often it's just choosing shapes of tops that come in just a little bit rather than go outwards. One of the biggest things I say to my clients, one of the key things I talk a lot about, is the silhouette of the garment, how it fits your body, rather than swamping your body. And when we look in the mirror and we're like, oh my God, I've turned to the tent type of conversations that a lot of my clients will talk to me about. It's about garments that skim your body.
Okay.
Because we think in really binary terms, I think, don't we, with fit? It's either got to
tight or oversized. Yeah, that's exactly what I was like, skim. Everything I have is tight or oversized.
Yes.
But you're so right. Sometimes the joy is in the middle.
Absolutely.
And it can still sort of fit into a trend without...
Oh, totally. It can still look really modern.
Really modern. Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
a good word for it.
Or I talk a lot about contemporary classics a lot of the time, and then we might sprinkle on a few edgy fashion bits. Absolutely. That's, and how we combine that is absolutely up to every individual.
Okay.
But being able to choose clothes that skim your body, brilliant. Like, some of my clients are like, oh, I don't like my bottom, it's big. I'm like, your bottom is gorgeous. But you're wearing low slung drop crotch pants in the wrong kind of fabric that are not.
Feel good.
Yeah. So let's skim your body. And I'm like, your booty is gorgeous. And they're looking, oh, actually, and I've changed their underwear.
Okay, tell me about that.
Because if you've got a high-rise pant or a high-rise skirt, you need a high-rise knicker. Because otherwise you've got all of the, you can see your undies.
Okay,
and it's just smoothed out. Because we don't want to wear...
Now I'm mentally in my underwear drawer. Yeah.
Because we don't want to wear a what they called the
Well, like the boy leg or the full brief, if it's skimming and you can sort of
see your body, but you don't need a Spanx. That's not what it's about.
No,
that's not it. But we just want a bigger knicker that sits and hugs your waist at the same point that your clothes do.
I agree, and sometimes you just feel more secure. It's almost like a bra for your bum. Like when you've got the right underwear on, it can just make everything just feel a bit more secure.
Absolutely.
Okay, so undies as well.
Yeah, undies are really, because a lot of my clients, like, I don't like my bottom, but they're wearing low-rise pants. So obviously that's going to cut in and we're going to have little...
Oh, I quit the low-rise a long time ago. Yeah, they're uncomfortable. No, they give me, I'm a slim person, but they still give me that double bubble hip thing.
Absolutely.
Which is no problem, but also just not...
But it's just not neat and tidy a lot of the time. And it's just not
my body shape, and even if it was, I don't want to emphasise it and feel uncomfortable with an elastic around there all day long. High rise for life.
Yes. So just mirroring, and a lot of us have moved up in terms of the waistline, going higher waisted, but we haven't moved our knickers up.
Yeah, right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, because we're wearing high rise everything.
Absolutely. Once they mirror, it's much better.
Okay, so we need to update our undies.
Big, ugly pants are the best.
Anything else we need to know about, perimenopause and menopausal changing body shapes before we get into bougie and budget?
So I understand that a lot of us have very complicated relationships with our bodies and therefore our wardrobes, but that only intensifies as well when we might gain a bit of weight. And I know that a lot of clients won't love their body overnight, but to stop hating on bits and become more body neutral, that's quite a profound shift.
Totally.
And as a group of women in the world, if we could be a bit happier in our clothes, it would free up a lot of mental space.
I so agree.
And that is ideally what, a lot of the guidelines I give clients are for, so that they can block out a lot of the rubbish that's not going to work for them and start honing in on what works for them, create a few formulas of what they like.
Yes.
And then they're golden, they're safe. They know they've got an outfit for every occasion and their wardrobe is going to work with them, not against them, and let them down.
And they can stop mentally torturing themselves about their body, particularly it changing, because, menopause is going to happen to all us women.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of,
change your clothes, not your body.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Because I think a lot of hormones rushing around our body, as soon as we put on a bit of weight, we're like, oh my God, I'm so much bigger than I am. But actually, a lot of the time, I've dressed nearly 1,000 women. Nearly all women are a lot less round in reality than their clothes might suggest.
But Kim, I think we have to do a part 2 because we haven't talked about fabric types. And as a perimenopausal woman, I'm hot. So that's going to have to be part 2. But I've brought bougie and budget.
Cool.
Fabrics that I can wear.
Yes.
Because I'm hot flushing. I'm sweating at night.
Yep.
I'm getting all those first early symptoms. But firstly, let's start with why don't you bring your budget?
Okay, my budget is a Portman's denim dress.
I haven't been to Portman's in forever.
It's brilliant. It's this beautiful dark denim.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
So it's got this beautiful hourglass shape to it because it's got a bit of a puff sleeve. So it's exaggerating the shoulder a little bit more. It's got beautiful shaping and seaming down it.
Like a V, but not too deep.
Exactly. So beautiful flattering on the bust. It's got the seaming that comes down, and then it's got the stitching down the seams to really elongate the body. And then it's got a beautiful belt and all these gold detailing. I mean, it doesn't look like Portman's. It looks like age.
I was going to say it looks like age.
Yeah.
It's stunning in the belt. And then you could take the belt off. And
absolutely. And that's sizes 6 to 18.
Gorgeous.
And it's currently $150.
Right.
Which is really good. And obviously it's a bit more breathable because it's cotton predominantly.
I need to pop into Portman's. I haven't done Portman's for quite a while.
Yeah, and they're doing better cotton. Look, I know Portman's isn't the most sustainable of brands, but they are doing better cotton. The kind of thing that they're trying to do to help with, less harmful chemicals and less water and all that.
Yeah, everyone's finally onto it. My budget is from Lintico. They're called the Linen Simple Button Fly Down Trousers, because when I really just take it back to what I wear all the time, it's jeans and a t-shirt.
Yep.
So these aren't jeans. They come in 1,000 different colours, $91.
Ooh,
They've got they're kind of like a mix between a cargo and a chino and a jean.
Love them.
And they're 100% linen.
They look really edgy. I love them.
They are, aren't they? But then you could just you chuck on a thong, or you could put on a heel and a cami.
Yeah.
That's the dusty blue, but they've got 10 different colours.
Loads of colours.
Size extra small to XXL.
Brilliant.
And 100% linen. So while I'm hot and sweaty and perimenopausal, I'm trying to go for more natural fibres.
Yes.
More so on the top, but I thought I'd bring a natural one on the bottom as well.
Still good on the bottom as well.
Yeah. Gets a bit. Well, I'm schwitzy in summer even when I'm not hormonal. What's your bougie?
It's the Age version. I
Oh!
don't really know how to pronounce this brand. Age.
Yes.
It's the Colorado denim mini dress.
I mean,
so
that's also gorgeous.
Their version is gorgeous, and it's got very similar styling. So it's a dupe base. The Portman's is a dupe for this pretty much.
Look, the Age one is beautiful, and I'll let you finish describing it. But I reckon the Portman one's more flattering.
It's really good.
Because that one's got a high, that buttons up almost like a denim shirt, whereas
Yes,
the other
it
one has
does.
a bit of a low, a V.
Yeah, a bit more open. But obviously you
Yes.
can open this because it's a
True.
truer shirt dress.
Yes.
But it's got a lot of the gold detailing. So that obviously elevates. So it means that these kind of dresses you can wear to so many different places because it's already got a bit of glam on it because of the gold trims on it,
absolutely.
basically.
You can chuck that on with flats and go to kind of a barbecue, or you could dress it up.
And so this one is size 4 to 16. And it's the price is $525, so it's quite a lot. Obviously, it's cotton; it's more breathable, but it's
beautiful.
It's quite expensive. So
You never know what people are going to go to, and my budget isn't very expensive either, but it's just a bit cheaper than my bougie. So it's from the brand Forecast. It's on the iconic Manhattan striped cotton shirt, 100% cotton. So you know how those stripy oversized men's shirts are really cool, but see how this isn't too oversized?
Yes, that's perfect.
So it's clearly for a woman's shape, I believe.
And stature, yeah.
It's slouchy and oversized, but not like you went and put your dad's shirt on.
Yeah.
Size 4 to 16, and it also comes in a green, but I just love the blue stripe. I'm just loving that with summer whites. 100% cotton, because I have to say last week I wore a synthetic long sleeve shirt, still to here and air cotton, but
Sweaty. Yeah.
I just got to leave my synthetics for the dead of winter, I think.
But this is what's interesting as well about why I think a lot of women are then wearing oversized, because some of their fabric choices aren't quite right. And so they're like, I want this armhole to sit away from my body before I get really, really clammy.
Maybe we're going to have to do a part 2 on fabric.
Yeah.
Now we know what shapes to go for.
Yep.
You've already nailed the colours.
Yep.
Fabrics comes next. Kim, you're a wealth of knowledge. I appreciate you bringing all your accumulated wisdom from designing and then styling and helping women. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Leigh.
Thank you.